Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this May 23rd version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon on the EOA network. And here in just a bit, we're going to have LeGrand School Superintendent George Mendoza with us. How you doing, man?
Good morning. It's first Friday. We made it. It's back to the crappy weather.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Yeah. You know, Tanya and I, we went over to Pendleton last night for a stream that we did, and up on top, there was snow on the road.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Yeah. It
Got
was
down in the 30s last night.
Yeah, it was crazy. So
It's May 23rd, BC.
May
I guess we need the water. The valley needs the water really bad. I mean, it's going to be a dry summer, so I maybe God's helping out with the forest fire issue. You know what I mean? And helping out the farmers right now.
Well, and I was. Our lawn's been super green, but I haven't turned on I have several sprinklers that need to be repaired, and so I hadn't turned it on. And the other day, it's like, oh man, I got to get to that. And the rain came, so I would have. I mean, if our lawn is just, it's green, but it's just starting to get dry. There's a lot of farmers out there in that same condition.
I hate the first mow of the year.
The first.
Always. Yeah, the first time you got to mow.
Yeah.
I did my parents' yard when my dad was in the hospital. Oh my goodness, it took me forever to mow because it was this tall.
Right, yeah.
And then on top of it, it was like, it should have been mowed before it was, but my dad, he's coming off of a pretty serious injury. And it was a little bit wet too. So that poor lawnmower, the bag wouldn't pick up anything hardly. It because it was so wet. And I had to move about this fast. Like I was like the sloths on that movie, where they're in the DMV, the ones that were gonna just so slow mo, and it was crazy.
That was a hilarious scene.
What is that movie called?
Is it?
Yeah, Zootopia. That's what it is.
I thought something was Zoom. Yeah, but anyhow, it's just. But I have to say, our people here at the DMV do a really good job. It is not. It's not the. I don't know. I'm sure that in big cities where you've got, lots of population.
Yeah,
that would be
in California. I've dealt with the one in California.
That would be such a sucky job.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And during COVID, it was pretty brutal too. Trying to. Well, and then they had that information breach recently.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to do everything, change your address online and all that. Yeah. And during it, right after that, you couldn't.
Have you had your identity hacked? Have you gotten those notifications?
Yeah.
It is so common that it's minor.
Yeah, I got credit monitoring for the next 10 years or something.
Like who hasn't gone through that experience? Yeah. And which is terribly sad, and so that's on a rant. So a
lot of scammers out there.
Well, so we use QuickBooks, but we're still old school. I want the program on the computer, and I want it to run on the computer. It's still connected, you still pay bills and stuff that way. But QuickBooks, they're pushing everybody to just do online stuff so that you don't have software. The problem is, so then all of your business information is out there.
Yeah. Well, isn't it out there anyways, in a sense? Once you use your credit card online?
Well, yeah, but still, it's not like you have a check register for whatever, But the point is that, all of that information. It's foolish to me when a company says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna protect all of your information to the nth degree," and then you have major credit card companies or, people who have millions of customers and spend millions and millions of dollars on security. Yeah, so.
Did you see that Crook County is the 13th county in Oregon?
To do what?
To pass the Greater Idaho movement.
Well, But there's not to pass.
Or but to set up like what we did.
To start have meetings, yeah. So
that's crazy.
Well, but it doesn't.
Crazy talk.
It doesn't mean, I mean, I think a lot of people look at that and go, yeah, it's gaining momentum. But what's happening is those meetings just appease those people that are super excited about it, and so. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I've been fairly vocal about that. I think it's just not practical at the end of the day.
No,
it's like
it would be so hard to do.
Yeah, I mean the amount of details is just infinite in I mean
changing a state border,
driver's license.
That would be the easy part.
Who owns the park departments, the parks that are owned in Oregon, the land permits,
all
the
the road
titles,
signs. There's just it just keeps going on and on.
It's crazy talk.
We were right about commissioner. Nobody got anywhere near 50%.
No,
there was no way anybody.
No,
was
but I tell you, I was like, and I talked to other people. Matt Scarfo, talked to him, and he felt like I mean, nobody guessed that it would exactly split up the way that it did. I mean, there's just no gauge. Yeah.
I mean, my prediction was pretty spot on, except for I said it was going to be one of three people as the second person: you, Kathleen, or Jake. Yeah. And I just didn't. I mean, like I didn't have a feel for that. But
I'm super. I mean, I'm glad. If it wasn't me, I'm glad it's Jake.
I like Jake.
Yeah,
I think he's going
to.
Hopefully, he can get like a lot of the votes that Mark didn't get, and make it a race.
I think it will be a horse
I think
race.
He'll be better. I think he would be better. I mean, I'll go out there and say I think Jake would be better for Union County.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is they both kind of draw from
the same crowd. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They both are big rancher farmer advocates, which that's good for Union County too. But they really, So
it was a good. I mean, it was close. There was, I don't know. I haven't looked at it since yesterday morning, but everybody was within. Except for there was a couple of people at the bottom, but everybody was within 10 percentage points of each other.
Yeah,
a little less.
I mean, I had 41% is where. I mean, I wonder how that compares to the last primary, because the off-season primaries, when there is no presidential election,
they're generally lower.
They're generally lower. Yeah. No general elections. Yeah. So, but I don't know how that compares.
And then the judge thing was not as close as I thought it was going to be either.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like neck and neck.
I did
It ends up being a kind of a blowout.
I did too. Yeah.
And then both the bonds passed, and that's all local, right? That's all we had local.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll see what happens in November.
So what I thought about doing is, and I might try and do that, is to get all of the candidates that didn't go on, do an EO talks with them.
That'd be fun.
I think so too. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun to talk about county business from that standpoint. So, well, cool. You want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Rock & Sons Tire and Auto. East end of Adams and LeGrand. If you need anything done for your vehicle, go see JB and the boys. Congratulations to Ridge Kerr and Maya Wilson. They were the 2024 recipients of the Doug Trice Memorial Scholarship. I had the pleasure of presenting that the other night on Tuesday night up at the high school senior awards night, and it's a scholarship fund that Dana and I started in, I want to say 2020 was when it was right after Doug passed, and it's just a scholarship that kind of carries his legacy. And one of the things I talked about when I presented the award was, it's not, this scholarship isn't about your grades. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of people that get 4.0s. This is a character scholarship, and I think the committee chose two great people, and it was cool. It was a nice night, and it's nice to see two good young people receive the scholarship. TJ Davis is in the lead in the decathlon heading into day 2 for the EOU men's track team in Marion, Indiana at the national championships. Liz Grandel is currently in 6th in the heptathlon heading into day 2. And that's pretty much kind of where they're at, like deck hep. They have a few other events that are done, but today and tomorrow are the big days. Hunter Nichols sits in 6th in the 3,000 steeple after the prelims. There's strong showings all around for the Mounties. 13th for the men in the country, 17th for women. It should be a good day today. Day 2 kicked off about an hour ago. And like I said, the highlight of the day is 2022 heptathlon national champion TJ Davis looking for his first outdoor national championship ever. You can tune into Huddle Sports or go to eousports.com and follow the link to watch the action. LHS softball had a strong showing in their opening round playoff game over Estacada. They won 11-3 at home the other day. They play in the quarters tomorrow at 4:30 in Pendleton. And this is another one of my issues with OSAA. Like, you're a 19-3 team, and you're playing the only team that's beat you all year, Pendleton, in the quarters. This should not be happening until the semis or the finals, in my eyes. Like, these brackets are all wonky. You shouldn't be meeting the only team that's beat you all year in the quarters, that won your league. Like, I don't get it. It's frustrating. LHS baseball had a very strong showing in their playoff game versus Scappoose. It was a close game. It was like tied 5-5 in the 5th. I was watching it at the senior awards night on my phone. But they ended up dropping the contest 5-9. That brings their season to a close. The Tiger Boys ended up 12-10 overall with a 7-5 record in the GOL. It's a pretty decent year. I mean, it's not like the years in the past, but we're kind of in like a rebuilding phase. I hate to say it like that, but we're high school sports kind of does this in most sports, and we're kind of like in a little bit of a valley. Hopefully in the next couple of years, we're right back to, winning the GOL every year and making a run in the state playoffs for a championship. Cade's Courage. So Cade McKinley, who's a 3-sport freshman athlete at LHS and son of baseball coach Parker McKinley, is currently undergoing treatment for a type of Ewing sarcoma, and the family's going to need help. They have established a GoFundMe account, and that QR code on the screen right now, you can scan it. It'll take you right to it. And they're just looking for help with donations. If you want the contact information and you want to donate another way through Venmo or whatever, you can contact me through Messenger or EO Live, and I'll pass your information on to the committee or give you their phone number. And it's really cool because the community and the surrounding communities have really bonded together around this. And as you can see, those are bracelets that they pass out at Fitzgerald Flowers, out there at Arnie's, at Island City Express. And it's just, it's cool to see the strength and the bond of this community when, just looking at social media, how many people have shared this and how many people are donating time or effort into helping this family out. It's really cool, actually. AM Sports Report brought to you by Rockin' Sons Tire and Auto. Go see JB and the boys.
Good stuff. Did you feel nervous being in front of that crowd?
I hate it. I was sweating bullets. And there wasn't even that many people there. I just don't. It's
you
different.
Don't like being in front of people like that?
Yeah. It's like this. I have a light right in my face, and everything. But you look out there and you're like, it's not like looking here, like I can't see all these people that watch this. I can see all those people.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. No, it's hard. And it's hard. When I was fortunate enough that when I was in high school, I started getting involved in drama and musicals and stuff, my drama coach, drama teacher, the first thing they said was, now It's going to freak you out when you get out there on the edge of the stage and all you're going to see is black. You can't see a thing, and it was, anyhow. So that's why when people come on, they go, "Oh, the light is so bright." It's like, yeah, if it's right in your eyes, it's in the right place.
Right, it was. I kept it real short and sweet. Some people get up there and ramble on, tell stories about, and I get up there, told them about why we started the scholarship and who we award it to and why, and then get out of there.
Good.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not standing up here too long. Yeah, and usually, like last year, I didn't even have to present because I had to take pictures. But this year, Dana was gone in Central Oregon, so I had to do it by myself. Yeah. It's okay though, because like up there, I'm sitting in between people that I know. You know what I mean? Like everybody up there that's presenting, I know. I had like Joel on one side and Huntsman on the other. And so we're just talking because they're presenting their scholarships too. So it wasn't bad.
No, that's good. How many out? Yeah, you have a guess?
How many kids got scholarships the other night?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I mean, I'm a part of Rotary, and I know
Rotary.
Yeah, Rotary. They presented a couple scholarships.
Well, and Joel is a part of Rotary too, but he couldn't be part of that because his daughter got the scholarship.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people though.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton of people in the crowd though. Like I've seen way more at senior night than last night, but we also had 2 sports playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had 2 playoff games. We had softball and baseball. So
just a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and that's just typical this time of the year. All the stuff they're trying to get in before the end of the school year.
Yeah.
So.
Good morning, TJ. Good morning, Bud.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look outside, and it's kind of that drizzly thing. It was cool this morning. What's our weather? What's our weather looking like?
Don't look good.
So 61 today.
56 and 36 on Saturday.
Yeah, so it's not gonna warm up until the weekend. But hey, that means Memorial Day will be nice. Monday.
That's already Memorial Day?
Yeah, I know. Gabe told me. I mean, we were talking yesterday. He's like, "Do we work on Memorial Day?" I was like, "Not normally."
So I didn't even know it was Memorial Day.
It's Monday. It's like, yeah.
You could, I had no idea.
Yeah. So,
Is it really? I thought, I guess it's the end of May. I thought it was in June, though.
Well, I didn't, the way I keep track of it is my birthday's on the 29th, and so it's always been.
Right around there? Right. You know how I keep track of it?
How's that?
Other people.
Other people.
When they mention
they
it.
tell you? Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like.
That's how I keep track of my kids' birthdays, Facebook.
It's like, yeah, they help you.
I know my kids.
Yeah, right.
But like other people, Facebook.
Do you wish people happy birthday on Facebook?
Heck no.
Yeah.
BC, I have too many people on there.
I know. I don't either. I finally turned off that notification.
Some people do though. Some people hit everybody. It's crazy.
Well, and I admire those people. I just but you.
If I did, I would have to do 10 a day.
Right. And it's kind of that, I mean, when you divide an entire population by 365, then there's a lot of people that are going to have their birthday on the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll look right now. I'll tell you how many people I have with birthdays today on Facebook. Let's look.
Yeah.
It's going to say right here on the right?
I did for a while.
I have 5 today.
5 birthdays.
5, yep.
Yeah.
2 twins and then 3 other people. And I know all of them personally. I don't have very many friends on Facebook that I don't know personally.
Do you have many people that have the same birthday as you? Friends?
I don't know. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that I share a birthday with. My great aunt Dake, she passed away. I shared a birthday with her. Yeah. Granny Dake. We used to celebrate it together. As a matter of fact, remember when you were talking about the Grange?
Yeah.
We had our birthday out there one year.
Yeah.
When I was younger.
I share a birthday with JFK. Was born on.
I don't.
May 29th. Yeah.
I don't know anybody that that has the like personally that has the same birthday as me. Let's see. Doesn't look like anybody too famous either. Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player.
Yeah.
That's it.
All righty. Well, glad you guys are here. We're going to take a little break, and right after that, George Mendoza, LeGrand School District Superintendent, will be with us. We'll be right back. Gabe, be sure to unmute his mic. Hey, we're back with George Mendoza, LeGrand School District Superintendent. How are you, man?
Always good to see you, Brent. Doing well. Dodgy, good to see you.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So, were you torn at all? I mean, I like to think that you and I are good friends. But I know that you're super close to Merle also. Yeah. So and we actually finished pretty close in the race together, the two of us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So were there times that you were like, "Oh, I'm torn a little bit"? And I guess the right answer is yes.
Jesus, put him on the hot seat.
I felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt bad for both of you.
Yeah.
How about that?
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Yeah, because you've been in the trenches with Merle.
Yeah. No, I want good things for both of you, but I want good things for our county, and I guess the voters spoke, and that's where it's at right now.
Yeah. So, well, what's going on in the superintendent world? How are things going?
Busy time, you know. So for us too, the May is when we do all of our evaluations, we do our state testing, we hire people, we graduate, we transition on to students matriculating to the next school year, the next grade level.
Yeah.
Budget season, a lot of things with budgets and improving this year, finalizing this year's budget and budget purchases and expenditures, and then transferring over to the next school year and how much funds you have for the next school year budget.
Yeah.
There's sports and there's championships and there's, there's all kinds of senior nights and senior events and performances. It's just almost every day has a lot of things.
Yeah.
And in particular for superintendents, there's a lot of advocacy, trying to talk to the governor or the governor's office, legislature, talking about resources, talking about the need for more resources, people making cuts based on their budgets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of school districts that have had to reduce quite a bit, and we have to figure out, our financial situation as well and talk to the state about that.
So I recently talked to Tim Seidel. This was offline because I had heard her. I think Kelly, the president of EOU, had been here, and she talked about how state of Oregon spends the least amount. I mean, they're like 45th in the nation on the amount of money that they spend on higher education from the state. Mm-hmm. How does public education line up to that? I mean, I'm talking about under college. The amount of money that you get, that's, how does that compare to other states?
I don't have that data in front of me, but we're going to likely be somewhere in the middle of what we spend per student.
Okay.
Definitely certain states spend quite a bit more.
Right.
Ours has, we do have a majority is what people will say of the pie that the state spends on is public education, but they spend a significant amount on health care, or a significant amount on safety or on housing, or our justice system with prisons or sheriff offices and police departments. So but schools get the most, but it's finite resources, so it's
Right.
it's only so much. We have a study called the quality education model, and by now it's about somewhere near 15,000 per student, and we get around $12,000 per student. So we're well funded, we're low funded under the quality education model. And then pretty soon when you say, hey, this is how much I give for housing, and this is how much I give for healthcare, and this is how much I give for safety, and this is how much I give for schools, they wind up saying, like, this is the pot, this is all we got.
Right.
You can ask for more, but we don't have very much more to give you.
Right.
We don't have any revenue generated, so you're going to have to figure it out. So we have models like that where the reality is if they don't create more funding,
Yeah.
whether taxation or other types of measures that can be used to increase the pie or
Right.
increase the pot, then you get kind of in this stuck place.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, and a few years ago, I had way less knowledge about that, my perspective was just purely from a citizen, from the standpoint of, man, that's a lot of money they're taking out of my check and so on and so forth, But I've spent, quite a bit of time on the, watching the city of LeGrand do their budgets every year, and was a part of the county, was in one of their meetings as they did their budget. And I know that yours is the same, but there's never enough funds. And some of those things are, like on the city of LeGrand side, I mean, if you don't take care of the park, I mean, if you want to increase something, if you want to increase access to the library, or you want to create a new thing these are all programs that benefit the city of LeGrand in some manner, and at the top of that heap you have the police department, you have the fire department, and everybody has a dream for the next piece of equipment or the thing they would like to do, but at the end of the day that is directed towards helping the citizens. So anyhow, I have an appreciation also of if there was just a little bit more money, there might be things that could be done. And you guys are you're one of those pots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I kind of, to add on, is like money has a way of solving problems, or applying resources has a way of solving problems. You can also make reductions and make cuts, and then, I'll just see where those outcomes go. But in reality, sometimes we have to say, like, our special education gets funded at 11% in terms of a cap. You might have 18% or 20% of your students that experience disabilities, but the state only funds at 11%. So you use your general fund, you use other resources that you have available to see what you can do for the gap 7 or gap 8%, and try to give them the best program or service that you can. But then your general fund, I'll just say, gets dwindled by applying resources to unmet needs. Same thing for high cost disability. When you have some students, we spend $70,000 to $100,000 in terms of expenditure, and you get capped at $30,000. So if you spend over $30,000 and you ask for reimbursement, if there is a pot of funds, sometimes there is a pot of funds available where you can get up to 49 cents on the dollar reimbursed to you after $30,000. Well, you already spent 30, you're going to spend another 70, but you're going to get 49 cents back for every dollar that you spent. So we have systems like that where we say it's a requirement to do this, it's a requirement to do that, but we're only going to give you so much money. And so we have to tell the state sometimes, like, we need more money to do all the requirements that you ask us to do. And so even if there's a law on unemployment, and now we can have more classified staff in their waiting weeks in the summertime go after and collect unemployment, which is fine. But they'll say, okay, but now your additional cost will be $160,000 a year to do this. And you're, well, did you give me $160,000?
Yeah, unemployment is not free to the employer.
So so it becomes these, like, we make rules or we make laws, and the second order, third order consequences of those decisions aren't always given in terms of, here's some additional money. It's more, this is what you have, figure it out. And so we get in these spots.
So when you have those corresponding conversations with the governor's office or with whomever it is that you talk, does it make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I would say advocacy does make a difference. It may not in the moment, but it definitely, when folks are hearing how LeGrand is doing, or how Salem is doing, or how Portland, or how Ashland is doing, or Coos Bay, or whatever. So they get 20 superintendents in a room, 25, and they try to get, here's Eastern Oregon's perspective, here's Southern Oregon's perspective, here's the Willamette Valley or the I-5 corridor, here's the Southern Coast, or, there's just stuff that they do to make sure that you hear. And I do feel like they listen and they try to understand, okay, there needs to be more resources for this. If we're saying that, students are going through depression or anxiety or have more mental health or behavioral health, we need funding so that we can have staffing, or we need funding so that we can have a pipeline into a workforce that can fill that need. They hear that, and then they do apply resources towards that. It might come, you might not get that money, or it might not impact till 3 years later, but the reality is they are listening. And then when you say, we need about 13% more to run our schools with the staff that we have, because you have to say, we have roll-up costs. We have step and column increases, we have cost of living increases, we have benefit increases. Our roll-up costs are, for our school district, our roll-up costs are $750,000 additional each year. Are we getting enough state school fund to handle our roll-up costs? And then if we have any other new negotiations that create a new amount of money, do we have an additional $700,000 or $600,000 for the new negotiations that we just did? And you have to tell the state, current service level and what we do, and we have to have enough money to always cover the current service level, and hopefully give raises to people. And so you have to advocate, and the state has to figure out ways to help raise the revenue for that, and then make reductions in other places. But nobody likes reductions. There's not a person that it's like,
yeah, I
you
volunteer
can cut
for that.
me, you can
Right,
cut this. They're more like, no, we need this. Everybody. So it's a tough situation, I think, for lawmakers at times.
Yeah. I get that. So one quick question, then we'll move on to some just local stuff. So is there a difference in, how do you see the rural urban divide in schools? So in other words, are there some things about educating kids over here that they just don't get, or you have to communicate to them?
There's definitely urban, suburban, rural school districts, and urban, suburban, rural perspectives, whether it's local control issues, whether it's requirements, whether it's having programs and services. I definitely give an advocacy towards, in our area, we have finite funds, we have finite resources, and we have finite staff. We don't have the capacity to have more and more employees because number one, we don't have the resources, or we don't have housing, or we don't have I'll just say the infrastructure to support more, so it creates more work for Brent Clapp. Brent Clapp does, he does this job, plus he does 3 other jobs, and he has to take care of all these things, and it makes it so that there's kind of a strain on a human, because they're doing 4 jobs or 3 jobs where other locations might have one person doing that job. We could talk about bonds and passing bonds in rural areas. Bonds don't pass very well in rural areas. There's so much property value, and there's so much taxation that people can handle. And so you have facilities that are 75, 100 years old in rural areas, where in more populated areas there is more bonding capacity, and folks do pass those, and so those students experience facilities that are a little bit newer or updated, or have better HVAC. So we have things that happen that have systems that create winners and losers, and I use those terms with folks, like, when we decide to give money for $30 million worth of summer school, and only 50 school districts get it. Well, we didn't get that lottery. We lost. So the other, there's 149 other school districts that are, I have kids that have needs. I have kids that are below level in reading. I have kids that need more practice and opportunities so that they can be on level. So we need systems that equalize and create proportionality.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of advocacy that I do. And then we could talk about, like, it's just different to a child, and how a child experiences life in Portland at some level, with languages and cultures and safety issues and other types of things that take place, is a little bit different than when a child that is in LeGrand. Right. And so I have to accept that they have more nuanced needs over there at times. But the reality is we need resources just as much as other places, if not more at times. So we have to push.
Right. Okay. So then sometimes it just boils down to money. There's more money in the rural areas for you guys, for them to take care of their students in some manner.
Well, in some rural areas, not. The reality is not really. Rural areas have less. Yeah,
Less money.
less
I'm
money.
sorry. I meant earlier.
But there are times where, like LeGrand, for instance, there is a thing called the Rural School Fund, and it is for rural areas, but it's for school districts that are so big and have so much distance away from the next school. Well, the reality is we're too big, and we don't hit those distance requirements, so we don't get the additional 0.25 weighting.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other thing, depending where you live, is if you're weighted on factors like poverty, and we don't have as much poverty, we don't get as much funding because we don't have as much poverty, which makes sense at some level, but the reality is then you have less resources. ELL students, there's factors for ELL students. We don't have very many ELL students. In our school district, I can get on a soapbox for these kinds of things. There's 197 school districts in our state. And then we're like 39th in terms of funding, in terms of what we get per student. 30, like in the bottom 39.
Okay.
So my point is there's about 150 school districts that get more per student than what LeGrand gets based on all the weighted factors.
Okay.
So I usually have to advocate and say, like, we have high needs kids, we have high needs problems too, and we have finite funds. We need to make sure that you think of LeGrand or think of LeGrand's needs as you fund education.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of advocacy that has to happen, I'd say, to get our needs met.
Well, thanks for doing that. And all of that is just, I mean, that's information we just don't know as the public, just wouldn't understand, So, okay, switching gears. How's the Wildcat Center doing?
Oh, love it. That's a source of happiness every time people bring it up. So it's beautiful. They're now almost, I think they're done with doing a lot of the metal work that they needed to do. And I think they're going to get to the sheetrock next week and start putting sheetrock in the rooms. And then it's going to start really looking like a building that has classrooms inside. So they've framed it all, and they've put in I'll just call it a lot of the framing for everything and where it goes. They put in the stairs. They've welded all the things that need to be welded, but now it's putting it together, and pretty soon they'll get the floor in. Then we've agreed on different kinds of signage that will be on the Wildcat Center, and putting in the hoops, putting in the nets, doing all those kinds of things, and people have identified that and started to order all that. And
oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's good.
So graduation's coming?
Really big too. It's going to be really big and nice.
Good.
Graduation, yes.
Going okay? I mean, what are the grad rates, and how's that looking for you guys?
Right now, should be around 92 or 93% with 4-year diplomas. So students graduating on time, 4-year diplomas. 92, 93 is very good.
Good.
And then it should be 2 or 3% more for GEDs or completers. So we're going to be somewhere near 95% completion rates.
Good.
Yeah. We're really pleased with
that.
that.
I want to say my senior year in high school was in the 60s.
Yeah. No,
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That's
not
what,
good.
27 years ago.
Yeah. And I wind up saying, graduation rates is an outcome that a lot of people look at to see if you're being successful, if a school is ensuring that students matriculate and that receive the knowledge and skills necessary for their future. And so for us, it's a big focus that we need to know students, we need to know their story, we need to know their situation. If they need support, we need to get them the right classes. If it's before school, after school, during school tutoring, we need to meet with parents, we need to meet with the child, we need to figure it out so that they can graduate. So we do put a lot of strategy into graduation rates.
And these seniors were freshmen. Their freshman year they missed their freshman year pretty much.
It was a tougher school year for sure. It was.
They started out high school as COVID.
Packets and online and sometimes in and sometimes out and wearing a lot of masks, all kinds of stuff.
It was a mess.
Yeah. Do you feel like Do you feel like, are you seeing the students get back up to level even in spite of that? I mean,
Recovery, sometimes I tell folks this, the kids that are really involved in club sports or activities, especially in our school district, but probably the same for most, they're thriving. The kids that aren't as involved, they're not thriving as well.
Right.
And so the reality is purpose and meaning is a big deal. It's always been a big deal. Club sports and activities sometimes give more purpose and meaning. CTE classes, things that give job skills or soft skills or help you with what your future might be, create more purpose and meaning, and then they show up regularly for that. And we have graduation rates that are 98 to 100% when you get a CTE certificate, pathway certificate. And then we have high graduation rates when you have kids involved in club sports and activities as well. So my point is thriving for those that are very involved. For those that are not so involved, we got to figure it out with them. We got to help them meet with their families, meet with the student, see what we can do to help them move forward. But there are kids that have more anxiety now. There are kids that have more depression, and there are children that have big behaviors. Sometimes younger kids that don't have routines or don't have structure have a tough time to start out in school, and it's hard on teachers, hard on staff. Electronic devices and how kids focus. We've done a pretty good job, K through 8, of like, this has to be put away. We can't see it. High school still has some rules where they try to make sure that it's put away, and then kids take it out in the hallway, which is allowed, or they take it in the cafeteria at lunchtime. But realistically, that device, if people are texting or people are watching something, is disruptive.
Absolutely.
It gets in the way of other kids paying attention or focusing.
of course, yeah.
And then when they're looking at social media and they're using that as like their self-esteem or what's right or what's, how they're influenced by the world, that also sends messages. So to me, I see more apathy right now. I see people that don't always look each other in the eye as much or talk to each other. And sometimes, I wind up asking, what do you need? And kids will say, well, I need good relationships, or I need somebody that cares about me.
Right.
And you're like, that's what I needed when I was as a kid.
Yeah,
I still
that's pretty common.
I'm still like, I need a good relationship, or I need connection, and that helps me. So it's still the same that way. We just got to keep trying to figure out how to create those relationships and have safe, caring, productive, mentoring types of relationships with each other, with connection, with support, with belonging. Still very important. But people are needing that more than ever, and they're so-called, they're more connected than ever, but that's not creating that connection.
Yeah.
Speaking of the cell phone thing, the thing that drives me the craziest about it, I'm an advocate for no cell phones in school, period. Leave that thing in your locker room. Like, you are not allowed to be on it when you're on, you know what I mean? Lunch, I don't care. If you want to use your phone at lunch, go outside. Like, get away from it. But the thing that really teased me off is the parents that, I have to be able to get a hold of my kid. They have to have. No, you don't. If there's an emergency, you'll know. Like, when I was in school, we didn't even, right there by the gym doors, there used to be a payphone right there. You called mom, collect, and you said, come pick me up as your name. And that's how mom knew that you were done with practice. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no need for a cell phone at school, in my eyes. Like, it's just a distraction, 100%. 100%. There's no reason for it. It drives me crazy.
Strong. I would just say I do think it's a distraction, and we need to get really good at, like, in this location, okay, in this location, not okay. I kind of would go more towards, we shouldn't have it out during passing periods or shouldn't have it out during lunch periods. It really should be put away. And if we need it as a learning tool at a certain time, then we can, under certain parameters, use it. But in general, if we also have iPads or if we have Chromebooks, we should use the Chromebooks and the iPads.
Yeah, not your phone. You shouldn't be texting your girlfriend when you're sitting there in class.
General, there is kind of a need for communication, and people do have that for emergency. But the parameters really need to be this is a tool that's used very sparingly in schools.
Yeah.
And that would, I think, also create better relationships and more connection, and also reduce anxiety and reduce depression. I mean, there's things with us if we do this better, but it's also the consistency of the adults, and not just the consistency of the teachers or the staff, the consistency of parents, the consistency of community, and people doing things in an aligned way. And I think that'll create kind of the changes that we need. But it can't just be the school holding kids to a standard. To me, it almost has to be, we all need to hold people to a standard as best we can.
I think it'd be cool if schools like put up scramblers, like where your phone just does not. I mean, if you get on the internet at the high school, like if you log on to their guest wireless, you can't get on social media. You can't get on Facebook. You can't. You know that, George. I think there needs to just be a scrambler where, like, when you're in there, you can't. This thing just kind of goes, mute. That would be sweet.
So last week we had Patty Barfield from OSU School of Nursing. She was on, and nurse practitioner who specializes in pediatric mental health. And we talked quite a bit about the issues, a lot of the things that you are dealing with, that world that you're dealing with every day. And one of the questions I'm interested, I mean, you're in this world, and you also have young kids. I mean, you've had young kids recently. And so and this is a question I asked her, so do you think that us giving kids the tools to label what it is that they're feeling? I mean, there's this emphasis to help kids become more aware and to be able to identify where they're being and label how they're feeling and express that. Okay. Now, if you compare that world to the world that we might have been raised in, where it was old school, where it was like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you just get the job done.
Yeah, deal with it.
Do those, I mean, has our tendency to do that, have we coddled kids in a negative way? Are we helping them? I mean, so you get the question, you understand.
Yeah. No, I feel like at some level, people being real, people being vulnerable, people being honest, people expressing how they feel is good. I think we need to be good at listening to that and being empathetic and supportive. But I also think we need to like here's the strategy, or here's the activity, or here's the action, and you got to move on too. Or we got to move on. Like, I'm big at accept, acknowledge, learn or grow, move on. It's you can't get stuck. And this kind of stuff, when we get stuck, for me is like, that's probably not the best strategy. Like, whatever it is that we get stuck on, we need to forgive ourselves and learn, or we need to be mentored to and grow, and then we got to keep moving forward, because that's life. So there is kind of a, maybe, grow up, or you're fine, or deal with it, is probably harsh or not enough anymore.
Right.
So somewhere in the middle is almost always my sweet spot. Like, it's hard, I'm sorry, and all those kinds of things, but we still need this with a warm demander kind of approach. But asking for more, or asking for commitment, or asking for accountability, and then monitoring and supporting, and being understanding. Kids today, what I know is they need a lot of affirmation. For some reason, we don't give enough of it, and so they're looking or seeking that. And as long as we're affirming, but also demanding or pushing, that's where I think we get the most. But if we give a little not enough, then it's like, you don't care about me, and you don't understand me.
Yeah. So. Well, and one of the things that she said, and I'd heard her say it a couple of times, is that when your ailment becomes your identity. That's not ailment, that's not the right word. But when your
diagnosis.
When that becomes when you take that on,
you're a lot more. Yeah, you're a lot more than that.
Right. Yeah. And that locks you in that place of not being able to recover, not being able to get past it. Yeah.
No, and that's I do sometimes think, and I'm not a doctor, of course, this is just George, but when I'm a lot more than when I'm angry, I might be angry for a little bit, but I'm not always angry,
Right.
And if I say a mean thing or a hurtful thing, sometimes I also say really nice things and loving things and kind things, so I'm not just a mean person. There's a lot more to us than what a doctor says we are, or what somebody diagnosed you as, or one test. You're a lot more than one test that you take. We're so much more complex and so much more complicated than all these kinds of things. And our brains grow and learn and shift in their thinking, and you can motivate me or inspire me, and I can do cool things too. I'm not stuck sometimes on just like, because somebody said you're this, then that means you're this all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm usually more like, I accept that, I acknowledge that, but I'm also trying to get us to be what we need to be as a team, or what we need to be for our best future.
So talking about cell phones and social media, and I've often looked, and young people, I've often looked at that conversation as, why do they even care what people think, and and kind of a walk it off, kind of a thing. But I mean, through this campaign, I've had that experience of where, I'm trying to win, I'm trying to advance, and so I have to care about what people think, And so I'll see the newest video that a competitor puts out, or I'll see the thing, and it makes me feel a particular manner. Or the other day I ran across a negative comment, and about 90% sure that it was directed at me. And anyhow, it's kind of taken me a little bit like, oh, this is how social media. And during this time, I've had to be like, I've just got to get away from this for a bit. Mm-hmm. So it's been an interesting learning experience for me personally, because that is negative. I mean, that affects me. So yeah.
And then you have to. I almost always, for me, have to like, is it true? Can I be better? Can I learn from this? And then try to process and move forward.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think there are like things that are hurtful.
Yeah.
And but who you are, and who loves you, and like what's real too with those relationships, and that you're a good human, that you're a kind person. All those things too are who you are. And, yeah.
So you guys came through negotiations recently. You go okay?
Yes. We just wrapped that up. It actually was ratified by the union last week, and then our board actually approved. So I'm really pleased. Really respectful, professional, kind, positive experience. It didn't get ratified the first time. I think there was some more work to do. I said in addition, earlier, roll-up costs already for our school district were around $750,000. But we made some agreements that we were going to give a 4% raise to our teachers year one, and then a 3.625 raise year two, and then a $50 insurance cap increase, and then a $100 insurance cap increase in year two. Total, it's going to be around $700,000. We give the principals the same thing. The administration gets the same thing that our teachers get. So it'll be around $733,000 in increased costs the first year. And then it'll be around another $750,000-ish more on top of that the second year. So about 1.434 million over a 2-year period in cost increases.
Good.
Yeah. So you got to ask the state school fund to grow.
So do you? So you had a couple of coaches that have been awarded.
Yes. Yeah. So I was in Eugene for state track. So we got boys got 4th place in the state.
So did the girls.
And the girls.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Good.
Very strong. So it was a lot of fun to go see that, and then see our kids. We got great kids, great coaches. For those that don't know, Matt Wolcott, who is a track coach, wonderful coach, wonderful human, wonderful teacher. I don't feel he gets the credit he should get at times.
He'd get a lot more credit from me if he'd return a text or a phone call. He knows that too.
He returns my phone call.
Well, of course you're his boss.
But he's a really good coach. He's a really good person, and great track team, great experience, great culture there. They're very supportive of one another, great environment, and I also that they have in Eugene at Autzen Stadium that evening they have the Coach of the Year celebrations for the state of Oregon. Well, Clell Carson received the National Coach of the Year for wrestling, so they had a nice thing for him right there. And then Cheyenne Mask is the swimming coach, and she also got Coach of the Year. And then we had Kai Carson that got a scholarship from
Tyrone Woods, right?
I don't remember the name of the scholarship, but he got
only one kid in Oregon gets it, right? Yeah, it's the Tyrone Woods.
So, and then there was another girl, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I feel bad about that. Great girl, great student, who got an award also from LeGrand.
What sport? Do you remember that?
She does soccer. She did wrestling too.
Soccer wrestler. It's not coming.
Really positive, really kind young lady. She also, I'd have to look at the schedule again. I don't have it, we just say hi to each other once in a while. But she's a nice girl, and she was also there, and she received an award.
Yeah. And the choir just won their...
And that's another choir.
Many?
9, I believe, state titles.
Right.
In the last
10 or 11 years.
11, 12 years. It was. We'd have to find the factoid on that.
But still, an amazing record.
Yeah. Her name is Caitlin Brock.
Caitlin Brock. Yep. Caitlin Brock. How did you already found it that fast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, really nice young lady.
Yeah, she is.
And she got an award.
She's a good athlete too.
Yeah, great human, great person. Kevin Durfee, Cassie Durfee, the Durfees. I think it might even be that they have 11 in the last 15 years. I don't know. It's a crazy number.
Right.
And, sometimes I tell people we now, I believe, have 16 state titles in the last 7 years with OSAA activities and athletics. We are, to me, by far, in terms of any division, in terms of well-rounded winning state titles. So back to some people really thriving. We have some kids that are competing at the highest level and thriving in our school district, and we got them going. But we have great coaches, we have great parents, we have great kids. We're going in the right direction quite a bit.
Well, and during this campaign, and this is just a continuing conversation, we've talked so much about kids. The kids that succeed are the ones that are involved. And you said it, identify, you had a phrase for that.
Well, if they attend and they participate, they pass.
Right.
So.
But if their identity, if it has some kind of a meaningful identity in something, whether that be sports or whatever, then, and I mean, it's just such a passion of mine to find, because there are some really great programs. And in fact, the next Thursday, the 30th, I don't know when that is, there's a from our church, there's this program called Fathers in the Field. And it's just a great, it's a mentoring program. But all of those things, I mean, no one of them is the answer, but all of them together make a difference. It's the story of the person throwing the starfish back into the ocean. It's like but it makes a difference to this one,
I love that.
Yeah, and it's just, we just need to continue to build and push the kids that are out there in the fray, help them to get connected.
I think you're right. The world it's hard. You need good relationships. You need people to care about you to kind of reach your full potential.
Right.
And we need people to know and understand and value other people. And systems or mentoring, I know I wouldn't be here if I wasn't mentored or supported by others. And it's like, if we can find ways to make that systematically or coherently,
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. Good. Well, George, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your work. And man, you feel like, does the pressure go down a little bit after graduation?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's definitely when it hits mid-June.
Yeah.
Mid-June to mid-July, for me, is reflection and writing and thinking and
Yeah.
kind of breathing a little bit, getting ready for the next school year, and then mid-July on, it's all right. Let's get ready.
Here we go.
And let's make sure everything is right, and let's
Yeah.
start off strong, and
Yeah.
let's make sure we try to make it a really good experience. All that kind of stuff is, but I don't have too much of like down.
I would imagine not. Well, thank you. Thanks for what you're doing.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thanks
you
for
both.
coming here. And
Thank you for both for what you do too. This is great for our community. Dodzy, Cal, when you do what you do, there's like I was listening, and it's like, man, you're going to everything. You're paying attention.
Try.
You
I
know
mean,
our
I don't
kids.
get everything, George.
No, but you know, like you care about our kids, or you care about our, adults and coaches and people. That kind of stuff to me is like, what else can we ask for, from people in our community? And then, Brent, all that you're doing for this to communicate to the world how things are going in LeGrand, and you're a good man, you're a good human, you share good information, try to make sure that we're okay. Like that's a big deal.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Want to get us out of
Couple things before we get out of here. The choir thing, 8 since 2010, 5 in a row. 2020 and 2021 were canceled due to COVID, but we've won 5 in a row and 8 since 2010. Couple comments. Bud says, great to always hear George share his heart and knowledge. LeGrand should be grateful. And Jennifer says LeGrand scored when George Mendoza came to town.
here. Here. I agree.
Yeah, on this day, so today's May 23rd, 1785, Benjamin Franklin announced his invention of bifocals. I don't know nothing about bifocals. I'm not quite there yet. 1788, South Carolina becomes the 8th state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. 1845, the New York City Police Department is formed, replacing an old night watch system. 1903, the first automobile trip across the U.S. leaves San Francisco for New York. So today's what, May 23rd? When do you think it got there? The first automobile that went from San Francisco to New York.
San Francisco to New York.
Left on May 23rd.
What year again?
1903.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
When,
no
how long
freeway
you think?
systems? No.
No.
highway
How long
systems?
you think it took to get there from San Francisco to New York in a car in
Yeah, I'm
1903?
trying to reconcile if there's even roads that could get
Yeah.
you there yet. But
2 months.
It did. 2 months and 3 days. It arrived on July 26th. 1980, the horror film The Shining released on this day, directed by Stanley Kubrick with Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall. It was also based on a book by Stephen King. 2018, the NFL owners approved NFL national anthem policy, whereby players are required to stand if they choose to be on the field for pregame presentations. And we all know what that came from, the whole Kaepernick thing. Speaking of NFL, I shared it in my story. There's a really cool picture on social media of Aaron Rodgers, who's a Hall of Fame championship winning quarterback, and Peasley with their backs turned towards the camera, and you can see their names on the back of they have the red quarterback jerseys on. It's really cool. Number one movie on this day in 2004, Shrek 2. And then the quote of the day comes from Albert Schweitzer, and it's pretty simple. Do something wonderful, people may imitate it. One more time. Do something wonderful, people may imitate it. And then, Gabe, can you put that QR code back up for me one more time? That QR code right there is the link to the GoFundMe for Cade's Courage for the McKinley family. And I mean, it goes without being said. We know what to do as a community when stuff like this happens. So if you can donate, scan that right there on your phone, and it'll take you right to the GoFundMe. And then in the comments, Fraser put all the state championships. I only started at 2010. So there you go.
Good.
That's all we got.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks, George.
Thanks again, George. See
Send
you
a
guys
kind
on
word to
Tuesday.
Mike Frazier too started us going with choir.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He's
He
the-
says we have 12 total. 2001,
godfather
2002,
of our,
2003, 9,
choir
12,
program.
13, 15, 18, 19, 22, 23, 24.
He laid the foundation.
Yeah.
So.
He
For
did.
sure.
Yeah, Mike and yeah, he did. So, all right. Hey, thank you guys. We'll see you soon.